Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to do something slightly different. I have a problem. I am confessing this now, and I have confessed this several times, so I don't know why I'm bothering to do it again, but my TBR is out of control. Like, well and truly out of control, particularly after my birthday and Yalk, which come 1 month after the other. I have so many books. So many books, it's ridiculous! And I need to read these because this is like my TBR here, and I have 2 shelves over there of books that I've read. And part of this is because I'm very happy to get rid of books that I've already read. I don't like getting rid of books that I haven't read yet. So they just kind of sit here, and I buy new stuff, and I don't pay any attention to these again. So I'm going to try to get myself excited about the books that I own again, and I'm going to be doing more of these videos of books that I own but haven't read yet. So what I thought I would do, because monthly TBRs are completely and totally useless for me, I am so bad at keeping up with monthly TBRs, I'm instead going to do a seasonal TBR. I went around and I picked books that kind of have an autumn vibe to them, and I pulled a bunch of stuff off of my shelves, and as I'm looking at them, I apparently am really in the mood for murder and for fairy tale retellings. So I don't know what that says about me or my feelings toward the autumn, which is my favorite season, like so many people on the internet, but yeah. So I have 8 books here, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are fairy tale retellings. 1 of them is nonfiction, and 2 of them are just kind of general fantasy fiction. So I clearly have a little bit of a theme going here, but these are all books that kind of gave me the cozy reading vibe. So let's go ahead and dive into this now. So this first book that I have here is one that's a fairy tale retelling. Again, I have 5 of them here. This one sounds incredibly dark. It's one that I know a lot of people have started and finished. Some people have decided to not finish it because it is very dark and has dark themes, and I feel like that just suits the autumn season so well for some reason. So this is Damsel, and this is by Elena K. Arnold. I talked about this recently in my Yalk book haul because I did get this at Yalk, and so I'm just going to talk about it again really quickly. This is about a world in which these kind of very familiar fairy tale traditions are upheld. The prince of the land has to go and fight dragons and rescue the princess, and they will be together forever. She will be his queen. Our main character is Alma, and she is the damsel who is rescued, and she wakes up in the arms of this prince, and she has no memory of what has happened, and he has this tale to tell her of this brave thing that he did and this horrible trauma that she's had to survive. She has no memory of it, but she decides to trust him until it becomes evident that things are not quite as they seem. This sounds fantastic. I know that this has a lot of content warnings that come with it. I won't list them now because I haven't read it, so I can't speak to them myself. But this looks really good. This looks like it's going to be a great, creepy October Halloween read, and I'm very excited for this. Next up, we have another Yalk book. This is definitely going to be a bit of a theme. This is All the Ever Afters, and this is by Danielle Teller. I'm going to be completely honest, I did not read the summary of this book because right here it says The Untold Story of Cinderella's Stepmother, and that was enough to make me pick it up. It's also got a lovely cover, and it has deckled edges, which I know a lot of people hate, but I absolutely love. I've decided just now that I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of my Yalk books because they're all fairy tale retellings. So the next one is Hunted by Megan Spooner. This is a straight up Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is not one of those books that's like Spinning Silver where it's very much inspired by the original tale. This is just a straight up retelling. So I don't know much about this one. I bought it partially because of the cover and also because people love this book so much. I've heard amazing things about this. I've been wanting to get my hands on it for ages because I feel so left out. I realize that I have read almost no retellings at this point, and I think that this is going to be a great place for me to start. Next up is the last Yalk book on this list. This is Sweet Black Waves. This is by Christina Perez. This, especially sort of the cover here, gives me very serious weather vibes. This is so misty and rainy, and that's just what England is in the autumn, so it's gonna suit the weather outside really well. This is a Tristan and Isolde retelling, which I really love because I like retellings that kind of do something slightly different, so I don't think I've heard of any Tristan and Isolde retellings recently in young adult. This looks great. She is a medievalist herself, and I can't think of a better person to write this book. So this book does sound essentially like a very much a straight up Tristan and Isolde retelling. It's that star-crossed lovers. He's a soldier from another sort of land who is her great great enemy, and she is the girl who saves his life, and they fall in love, and it's terrible, and I love that so much. I sound like such a bitter angry person, but I really really love bittersweet and sort of sad unhappy books, especially when they involve romances. I don't really know what's wrong with me. So next up I have a book that I got last year, and I desperately wanted this, and then I got it and I never read it. And I don't really know what's wrong with me. So this is That Inevitable Victorian Thing, and this is by E.K. Johnston. So I've been trying to sum up what this book is about, and I can't really tell, and I don't want to look it up, because as you guys know, I like to go into things as blind as possible. But I know that this is basically, my understanding is that it's an alternate history, Victorian England. Queen Victoria pushes industry even further than she already did. Computers get invented very, very quickly, and it's sort of the results of that. I don't think it takes place in Victorian times, but it takes place in maybe a more contemporary setting, and it's about the royalty and sort of how computers have become so integrated into lives, and it just sounds really intriguing, honestly. It sounds really cool, and it just sounds different, and that's really what I want. I also love this cover so, so much. I just am so curious about this, and I think because I know almost nothing about it, and there's like nothing here, I have been putting it off because I don't know when I'm going to be in the mood to read it, but I think that fall is the time. I believe it came out last fall, and it felt like it was really suiting what people read at that time, so why not try it now? So this next book is by an author I have read almost nothing by, but I love. And this particular book by her came highly recommended from my friend Judith. So this is Fly by Night by Frances Hardinge. I feel like Frances Hardinge is so perfectly suited to the fall. I feel like that's just when all of her books take place. I feel like that's the best time to read them. They just have that very kind of autumn atmosphere to them. So very simply, Fly by Night is about a young girl who lives in a world in which books and words are very dangerous. However, she of course has this great hunger for words and for learning. And I imagine this is all going to go very, very poorly for her. This, I think, is a middle grade book. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, it's got giant type, so it's probably a middle grade book. But I have been reading a couple of middle grade books lately, and I've really enjoyed them. And I think that this is going to be a really great one. I love books about books and books about words. And I think that because I love Frances Hardinge so much, I need to read more of her stuff. This seems like a really good place to start because it fits so many of my other loves in books. So next up we have another retelling, and this is Serous by Madeline Miller. This is another book that I was so desperate to get my hands on, and I was so excited to buy it, and then I did buy it, and it has sat on my shelf since May. It is currently August, so I really need to read this. I think that this, because it's a little bit more of a lyrical book, it's another retelling, it's a Greek mythology retelling. I think that this is going to be really good for those kind of long, rainy, chilly nights as we get into November. So Serous is about the goddess Serous, who is seen in the Odyssey as well as other Greek mythology, I believe, and it's sort of just a feminist retelling of who she is. I know that everyone is loving this book so much. I've not read The Song of Achilles, which is her other book, which of course is about Achilles, and I have heard wonderful things about them both. I think that this sounds a little bit more my speed. It also has a really pretty cover that I can marvel at, and I think this will be a really great one for the autumn. I just haven't been in the mood to read this in kind of summery weather in the heat. I feel like this is a cold weather snuggle under a duvet kind of book. Last but not least is actually a book that I got when I bought Serous. These have both sat on my shelves, even though I've desperately wanted to read this as well. I don't know if this is a good idea to read in the fall, because this is going to be a great Halloween book, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara. This is a true crime book, and it is a very fascinating one just because of the story behind it and her involvement with sort of keeping the search for the Golden State Killer alive. I'm not going to ramble on about that because I could go on about it forever. You should definitely look it up and look up her connection to that killer. But this is basically the culmination of all of her work trying to find this particular criminal. He was a rapist and murderer who was operating in Northern California, I believe, in the 70s and 80s, and he was never found. Never, ever, ever found until about a week before this book came out. He was actually caught. You should totally look it up because it's an amazing story and it's so satisfying to see such a horrible, horrible man not get away with his crimes. But this is all about sort of her research, her searching into who this person was, who almost was forgotten, and she's really responsible for keeping sort of the public interest alive in this case, and I believe directly having an impact on the fact that he was caught. I said that I'm not going to ramble about this, but I'm totally rambling about this, so I'm going to stop. But apparently this is very creepy, it's very spooky, and people have been scared out of their minds reading it. I'm very excited to do that because I think that this is going to be great. I read very little true crime, but I am very interested in true crime. I get most of my true crime love through podcasts. So it's about time that I actually read true crime because obviously I'm a reader. So obviously I'm planning on reading a lot more books than just those 8 in the fall season. However, those are some that I feel really, really suit the kind of fall mood, especially here in the UK where fall is quite grey, it's quite grim, it's going to be very rainy and misty, and it's just the best time to curl up under a duvet with a cat and a cup of tea and just read a ton of books. So I think that these are going to be great additions to whatever I read in the next few months. I will keep you updated and let you know how this TBR goes, but definitely check out my wrap-up videos if you want to see me talk about these books as I read them. So let me know in the comments below if TBRs are useful for you, if you make monthly ones or seasonal ones, or if you just have completely thrown that idea out the window because you are a mood reader like myself. Also, let me know what you're planning on reading this fall because I am always looking for new book suggestions, even if I am not allowing myself to buy any more. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so hit subscribe, check back later, and I will see you next time.